like maybe 15, 20 minutes, I want to talk about how to translate your script to Grasshopper. So you can use C# in different platforms, right? But we were using in Unity API, right? C# API. So thanks to Unity, we were using Unity class, right? So let's have a look. So let's say here, not even talking about game object. Let's talk about the vector. Vector is also a class, right? Game object is obviously a class of Unity, right? Rhino doesn't have a game object, right? So you cannot translate game object to Rhino, right? If you want to do something in Rhino as a geometry, you need to use Rhino geometry. Yeah, but the methodology is very similar. So let me show you how you can translate this. But we can start by looking at Grasshopper SDK or C# API or SDK, that's fine. Rhino 3D, no, that's not the documentation. Grasshopper SDK, that's the documentation. So let's look at the vector. So I'm going to use vector. And it has, in Grasshopper, it has vector called vector 3D. Okay, I realized that vector is Rhino API. So it's a bit confusing. There are things that are provided by Grasshopper. There are things provided by Rhino. So you need to use both, but vector 3D is a class provided by Rhino. Okay. Do you remember in Unity API, vector 3? Let me compare. Vector 3. Do you remember how to construct? So how to construct a vector? Let me just make a new script. New script. Okay. Something wrong. Okay. Okay, so vector 3, my vector is a new vector 3, and you put 3 float, right? So 1F, 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 and semicolon. Do you remember that? Yeah? Okay. That is called constructor. And in Unity, we were following this constructor, right? So if you click on the constructor, it shows you some example, but that's what we are using. Float, float, and float. Okay. And the properties, we can get XYZ property. Don't worry about others, but XYZ property. Does it correct? Is it correct? how do you get the property? So float x value is, yeah, myVec.x, right? So by saying dot, you can access to a property. Do you remember? Okay, and you know what's method. So here there are not much method, but method. Okay, so let me do the exactly same thing in Grasshopper. And as a principle, how do you access that? So you go to Grasshopper. Okay. And here in math, you have script. There is also C# script. You can just grab this one, or you can grab this one and specify that it's a C#. The same thing, yeah. So if you click on this one, double click, it gives you this window. So you know this is a command. You don't need to worry about it. Whatever is green, you don't have to worry about it. And this is provided by Grasshopper. It's a class. So it's slightly different, but whatever you write is you write it under here, run script. And there is X and Y and A, which is by nature is from this battery. So anyways, in order to make a vector, you have to follow this API, Vector3D. So the name is different. Here was Vector3, but here is Vector3D, and there are 4 constructors, but we are going to follow this one. But instead of a float, so it says you need given x, y, z as float, but here it's using double. Yeah. So just make sure whenever you are switching platform, you just follow their documentation. So Vector3D, my vector is a new Vector3D, and you put 3 double. So you can do 1, 1, 1, and semicolon. It looks the same. You cannot put F behind it because it's not float. It's not requiring float. And A here is a exporter. So if you just save this one, it's not doing anything. So you need to export my vector here and save it. And you can hook up a panel. And you see that is exporting this. Yeah. And in Grasshopper, you can also have a public variable, but public variables are accessed from this here. So if you want to have a specific number, let's say number A, and you need to right click and specify the type. Yeah, just because it's Grasshopper, and then you can say it's a double. You can delete all this input. And this will immediately change this area here. So it's recognizing double is a number. No, number A is a double. Now I'm going to use this as my X value, and it changed here. So this is a public variable. It's like whatever you say public in Unity, it's accessible from instructor. Okay, so here you can put a number slider. And you can change the first one, and it affects the result. So if you are interested in, you can also try to translate some simple script to Grasshopper and see if you can switch in between different platforms. Yeah, that could be a good challenge, but it's not a requirement for this class.
This mode and that mode is like a class.
Oh, so for class in Grasshopper, you need to add it here below. Yeah, so you can say class human Good question. Very good. Yeah, and then you can say human. And then you can put, int age, vector 3, position. And then this vector 3D, this is exactly same syntax as the human class that we had before. So let me show you. So if we go back to our human class from last week, when did we do that? Human. Okay, so we made human class and then we pulled the human from here. Do you remember? Yeah. Then we can copy paste the entire human class, Control C. And we can go back to our Grasshopper and just paste them here. And instead vector, we need vector 3D, vector 3D, vector 3D, vector 3D, and it shouldn't be a float, it should be just a number. Oh, yeah. And then now you can call the humans here. So human geo is a new human. And you put a vector position, which is this one. You can also put an age. So that's how you call a human. And you can return human's property, say age. So now you get the age. So that's pretty easy, right? So that's why it's better to structure everything as class, because class is easier to switch between platforms. You can mostly just copy paste things and you remain the interface project as a separated one. So that's why here in Unity, it's more professional to do all the Unity scene interface. So here we were calling in the Unity only this script, right? So all this is better to be done in different platforms, but the class you can more or less copy paste. So as a better structure, it's in long run, it's good to structure everything and package them as a class. So you can access it afterwards. So you don't have to go through all this long script.
If you guys put like the start and update Unity.
Yeah, you make all of this as a property and then you just call them. So similarly, if you install Unity, you are installing a lot of their classes, including Vector 3. Yeah, but now here you're making your own custom class. But when you are installing using Unity or Grasshopper, you're privileged to use their classes. Yeah, but as a principle, it's all same. Any question? I know all of this later part is not really a requirement. Yeah, but it will be great. I find it very useful when I chose to use C#. Yeah, it's really because of the possibilities that I can switch between Unity and Grasshopper. Yeah, because I also like working with geometries. I like generating geometries using script to create something that I can execute, 3D print, render. Yeah, so I think in a way the Unity and Grasshopper was very helpful. Yeah. Any question? Any question about the homework? Okay, was it clear homework? So it's another video, but in this time you can use the recorder. Yeah, you don't have to record your OBS. Yeah. But I really want to see how you can demonstrate your ability to modify your script, modify the script I gave you, and customize it and try to like really embrace it. And generate some either interesting building or interesting cityscape or landscape. Yeah. To try to make something more personal. Okay. Yeah. And followed by a mood board. Just make a PDF that is 4K resolution. So 3840 by 2160 resolution. It's just 16:9 PDF. So the reason I suggest this is when you make this and you can in the future you can use the images directly in your video. But for now you can also just throw in some dirty images or AI images or references just to communicate with me about some of your intentions. Yeah. Or what kind of stories that you're interested in. Yeah. So when I prepare the class, I can be also a bit more intentional.
It's
Mhm.
just a story of what we want our video to.
Yeah, in the future. Yeah. For example, maybe you follow my class, but maybe you want to turn this into Gothic style. Or maybe you like some really nice landscape. Yeah. But just some storyboard. Yeah. It doesn't have to be very specific. Yeah. Just indicate something that you like. Yeah. And because in the future, although we are going to use all the same platform, same skill sets, but only thing difference will be your prompting, right? And some of your geometry, the chosen modules that you make, so you are going to replace some geometry. Yeah. So you might model some simple things and then just replace it. And the result will look quite different. Maybe just to give you one more example. This is also student project. Yeah, so I was running a visual studies and it was like a lot of students and everybody was doing this in Grasshopper. But only thing they changed is their geometry. But the result was very different. So it was very interesting. So just as an example, just by changing the geometry and color, the result can be very different. So that's where the personalization can come in. Yeah, and then they turned that into architectural chunk. Yeah, just to inspire you a little bit. Yeah. Okay. So also try to change the geometry, not only cube. You can try something else. And it's really easy. Just change that and your result will look very different. Okay. Cool. Thank you so much.